the conversation series is intended to focus on food business financials, right? Which is what I focus on. And immediately when I thought about relaunching this, it was like very quickly, it was like, we need to talk about food delivery. We need to talk about, why people are choosing to work with Uber Eats, et cetera, why other people aren't. And then I wanted to talk with you guys because number one, I want people to know that you're around, that businesses like you are doing what you're doing sort of on a regional basis, and that there's a better option.
Welcome to the Conversation Series, where we focus on all things related to food business financials. I'm your host, Sarah Delavan, and I'm so glad you've decided to join the conversation.
Right now, I want to welcome Ryan and Shaheen from TAKEIN. Their goal is to democratize food production and help millions build local food systems. They're an online marketplace and app for local food. And I want to turn it over to one of you to describe what does that mean and what does that look like, in real life on the ground? What are you doing for local businesses?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Great question. With the big box apps and delivery systems out there today, they've essentially crippled small business with their high commissions that they charge, as well as masking client information. And they've taken this personal touch that's developed most of these small businesses and really suppressed it. And so we want to enable, and our goal is to enable small businesses to reach out to their customers, to get new customer contacts, and do so in a virtual marketplace, just as they had done when they're able to reach out to their customers directly and see them face to face. And so this is an option for them to grow their business sustainably and to grow their business profitably without being hostage and to these large big box delivery apps that are out there charging 35 to 15% commissions.
Great. I love that, Shaheen, because, as a former food business owner myself, one of the major pillars of our business and one of our major missions was build community around food. People in the local food systems are, from my personal experience and my work, we're interested in reconnecting people to where their food is coming from. So when you remove that connection, when you remove the ability to really communicate with your customers, I think that's a big negative for the mission of your business and for growing authentically as well. Great. Ryan, can you, in your words, describe or add to what Shaheen has already told us about TAKEIN?
Sure. We're a local food app. That's our focus, is helping local businesses. We do so by helping both customers and businesses create mutual value and connection. And in turn, we think that builds community. What makes local food great is when it represents a culture where the people making it, or you care about the people making it, and making sure that there's that connectivity is critical. But fundamentally, it's a food app that's got a better model for local food. And that's what I tell people.
So we're recording this in, as I refer to it, the time of COVID-19, right? Where restaurants, many small businesses, many farmers markets, they're not operating as they did pre, let's say, March 13th, 2020. From where I sit in the industry, I'm seeing so many different situations that people are in. Some people, their businesses are thriving in CPG. We've got event industry like completely gone, right? And so some businesses are pivoting to delivery. We've got grocery stores and small markets that are kind of closed their doors to physical shoppers, and they're, switching to online and delivery. Right now, more than ever, people seem to be relying on apps and online marketplaces for delivery and to sustain their businesses. But I want to go back a little bit because you all launched TAKEIN long before COVID-19, and your goals were, in place, before then. Can you tell us a little bit about your history Yeah, tell us a little bit about the history of your business. We know a little bit about why you founded it, but I want to take people back because I think it's important to know that you didn't just pop up now to take advantage of a situation. This is something that was intentional long before COVID-19.
That's right, Sarah. Yeah. So our model was always predicated on providing maximum convenience for customers and maximum value for food producers. We always took the philosophy that if we create a economic model that's advantageous for food producers, that they would be able to provide greater service, better products, and their business would grow. And as their business grew, we would be growing with them. And so we didn't want to put any barriers in the way of food producers and restaurants and growers to not want to use our system and our service. And so, when times are good, sometimes you get so busy and you can't really look at new things or try different marketing tools or different processes. But in a time like COVID-19, it really forces people that want to continue to thrive and do well and emerge from this to look at new things. And we're kind of a perfect service for that. We started in 2019. We really spent the good part of 2019 partnering with restaurants and food producers to really understand what they needed and what they didn't like in their apps. And we had some fantastic restaurant partners and food producers that really helped us understand their business and how they would prefer to grow. And we really modeled all of our research and development, engineering and testing around their needs. The consumer needs are pretty easy, right? The consumer wants convenience. They want an app. They want to get a good deal. They want it fast. They want it convenient. They want to know what they're getting and when they're getting it. So that side of the house is pretty easy to map. It's the fulfillment side and the supply chain and making sure that a company's brand is well represented and it's visible. It's not a big box brand like some of those folks that are visible. It's the local store, it's the local restaurants, the local food producer that has the ability to market their goods and services on our platform and connect it to all of their other marketing campaigns and activities. And so, our business was founded based on the belief that if we provide a free solution for food producers to market themselves, they'll be able to in turn use those profits that they enjoy and will invest those to grow their business, to build better products, build better services. And when that happens, we think that the food producers win, and we also think the customers win because they have better options and better quality service and product out in the marketplace.
Do you want to provide your answer to that question?
No, well said. Our model positions restaurants and food producers to give customers their best value. And that's a goal. That way both win. Customers save and businesses win.
As a food business financial consultant, my goal, similar to your goal really, is to improve the profitability and the financial sustainability of small local businesses, because I think both of us believe that that's how we change our food system. And we need to help these small businesses survive. And when I was introduced to TAKEIN last summer, the reason that I believed in what you were doing so much and wanted to support you, full disclosure, in any way that I could, was because I really felt that you provided true value to business owners. And that was something that lacked in the other businesses that have models that are, let's say, similar, right? And you guys are, I think, being kind about it. You say maximizing value for both the customer and the business. But at the end of the day, and maybe Shaheen, you hit on this, you're not taking commissions from small businesses. Is that true?
That's 100% true. We feel if we take commissions or charge fees or create barriers, whether they're cost or time, time's always going to be related to cost. If we take the restaurant producers, the food producers' time or money to participate in these apps, if we charge them a commission to use these apps, simply put, what will have to happen is they'll have to raise their prices to stay in business, which may make them less competitive, or they're going to have to reduce quality or quantity, right? It's the only way to continue to survive. And in both of those scenarios, we think not only does the restaurant really lose in the long run, but the consumer loses. And so it was really critical for us. We wanted to sit there and we asked ourselves, what value are we providing, right? And let's monetize, let's make money off of that value and that value only. And the value that we think we're providing is connecting a consumer to a producer. And we're making it convenient for them to shop, to buy food. And that's why we said, look, we're going to monetize that value and the consumer is going to pay for it. And if the producer is enjoying greater profits, they can decide what promotions they would like to use to promote their business, and they can control their profit margins. And we feel if we put the control back into the supply side of this equation, that good business owners and good food producers will figure out how to manage their business. And we're just a tool and a mechanism for them to do that virtually when they can't touch every single customer and can't be in front of every single customer. And so, that's our model. And the more we talk to food producers, in the beginning, they're very skeptical. What do you mean? Where's the charge? How is it not costing me anything? How are you making money? And the fact is that, we're not in a big conglomerate business like these big box food apps, right? And so they're all charging the consumers 15% to make a purchase, but then they're charging the food producers somewhere between 15 and 35% on top of it. And we can run very lean and mean. We're very efficient. We don't have public shareholders to report into, and we're able to really grow a nice profitable business for us to grow just by charging the consumer that 15%. So the consumer has a choice. They can do business with us or they can do business with a big box solution. Their cost is really the same, at least on the front end, from a service fee perspective. But what they get with us is they get special, either it's larger portions of food or they get discounted food because the food's not being marked up as it is on the other apps. And so we think that's a huge advantage for both the consumer and the producers on our app. And so we're starting to see, especially in this time of COVID, a big trend up. And so we're trying to keep up with the demand.
Great. A quick story from my days as a food business owner. We did food delivery. So it was more of like a grocery style delivery way back in 2012. And toward the end of our time, so sort of early to mid 2014 was when more businesses started entering that niche. And there were folks who were coming in and they were helping to facilitate delivery of food, both from companies like mine and also farmers and producers. And instead of charging the consumer, they charged the producer. But what happens, very frankly, my thoughts are that's just charging the consumer in a secret roundabout way. That's because right. We had to raise the price of everything we sold to maintain our margins. Right. Because the reality for food businesses is nobody has 15 to 30% to give to someone else. You're not keeping 15 to 30% of a company's revenue is not hitting their profit bucket. And so anything you're giving away is coming, you're losing it, right? So you have to, if you're doing it right, upcharge to make that money back. And the consumer is losing. So doubly, if you're working with a big box app or marketplace, and still losing if the consumer is not being charged at all and the company is getting hit with those fees. So as a business owner, I appreciate what you're doing. And I think that the more people realize what's really going on and how they're being charged and how much is being taken from a small business, I think consumer behaviors will start to change as well in favor of businesses and models that are like yours.
Yeah, we hope. And we've seen that. We've had customers reach out and say, hey, I didn't know that when I ordered from my favorite pizza place, they're paying 30%. They don't even know it's me. And my tips don't go to them. Mm-hmm. That's a huge difference. It's actually a 64% difference. You know, restaurants make 64% more money on TAKEIN than on Uber, etc. So that's a big difference. That difference has never mattered more with COVID, of course, and restaurants being so dependent on takeout and carry out. So as that message gets out, a portion of customers certainly respond to that and go out of their way to use our app so that they can buy food more responsibly. But not all customers, care. So we have to also emphasize value. And again, hopefully we or restaurants are better positioned to give a better value, whether it be more portions or lower prices or more food, so that they can earn customers' business on a platform where they make more money.
On a sort of a side note, I have some friends we were having a Zoom conversation with, a Zoom date, if you will. They had mentioned, they ordered out for the first time. They were in this new city. They live in New Mexico now, and they ordered out to support local businesses. And they had ordered through, a big box app. And so strange, when the delivery came, there was a card for this regional delivery business inside the bag. And they thought that was so weird. And I was like, let me give you a little lesson here. Forgive me for being a little preachy, but they're doing that because there's value and benefit to them as a business from working with that business rather than the one that you ordered from. And they were like, oh no, we feel so terrible. And I was like, that's the thing. This is new information for the consumer. So listen to your local businesses. If they're providing you with information on who to order from, go in that direction. It's going to look the same to you. It's going to feel the same to you, but the value that the business owner receives is so much greater. So I think people they're waking up to it. I want to touch on one thing that I don't think we talked about specifically yet. And that is that when we are talking about local food in terms of TAKEIN, the marketplace and the app, that's important to highlight that what that means is that businesses like McDonald's, I don't know why Denny's is popping into my head right now, other fast food chains, other big retail franchises, they're not being featured on your app. That was a deliberate decision. And I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about why you made that decision and why it was so important for you.
Yeah, absolutely. The big franchises and national chains, they can produce a lot of food. It's not really local food by any stretch of the imagination, and it generally hurts local business, right? Those options, they're fast, they're convenient, they have big, powerful marketing engines to connect to people. And we didn't want to create an environment where our local businesses were having to compete all over again with these national chains. And when we started really examining the big box apps, there's a huge advantage for them to primarily push those big national chains because the quantity is nearly unlimited. The menu variations or the food variations are consistent from one region to the next, and so they have much less work to do. And because the volume's so high, they have an incredible amount of profit from those guys. And so what we were noticing in some of our research and development is that if somebody uses those big box apps and purchases from their local food producer on those apps, the next time that same customer returns to those apps, they're presented with national chains. They're presented with options that are similar, but from a, you go from a local mom and pop hamburger stand and they're, presented with Jack in the Box or with Burger King. And these are big challenges for these local businesses because, their loyal customer was the one that went to this big box app. And then the big box app steered them to the competition that doesn't support the local community in any way and certainly doesn't support local business. And so it was really critical for us to make sure that national chains and franchises were not local and they're not part of our platform. And, right now we're focused on building each of these little communities. Right now we're focused in San Diego because it's close to Ryan and myself, and we're in very specific cities in San Diego, different areas. And as we move out, we're going to focus and make sure that we are capturing that local presence. We're going to make sure we have feet on the street and people that work for us in each of these local communities. So we really know who the local businesses are that should be on the app and really target them and build an awesome community of local food producers.
I don't have a lot to add there. We're local only, and that matters. It matters to the local businesses. They are beginning to learn about some of the mechanisms behind the scene that take a local customer and divert them to Chipotle because it's cheaper, it's faster, it's more consistent. And we've heard some just horror stories from local restaurants about some of the malicious actions taken against them by these large apps. There was one, she's never actually joined any of the food apps, although they list her food, they mark up her food, and then they sell her food. They keep the margin, they charge the customer. So customers think her food costs a lot more than it does. And that's a common practice. But they've done that for years without her consent, but she fulfills the orders because it's still revenue for her business. And the first day of COVID and quarantine, the apps listed her as being closed. So as people search for her business, they would just divert it to other restaurants that are paying them a fee. And so it really hurt her. And she lost all of the quote unquote online business that she had going, and she closed down early. So we see some of those things as well. And we don't want to be a part of those practices.
That's stunning to me. I can't wrap my head around the idea of a business putting someone on the app who has not given consent, literally accepting orders and sending orders to that business. It just seems like it shouldn't be a possibility.
And marking up the price. So if it was a $12 item, they're listing it at 15 or 16, keeping that margin and going on. So a lot of problems to solve.
That's fascinating to me. Shaheen, can you talk a little bit about what TAKEIN is doing to solve some of these problems and to serve businesses better?
Absolutely. We feel that businesses have thrive because of their personal relationship with their customers, the ability to look across to them and have a conversation and explain their products or suggest different items, whether you're at a farmer's market or you're in a restaurant. That personal connection is really important. And so unlike some of the big box applications that suppress and mask the identities of customers, we facilitate that connection. So, the producer being able to call right through the app to the customer, or the customer being able to call very conveniently with one button click to the producer to ask a question about the order, to update an order. Maybe they've ordered something and it's unfortunately not available, and the producer would like to make a suggestion or an alteration to the order. And we want to facilitate that communication so that, business that is happening from a distance is very similar to business that's happening face to face. And we think that if we foster that connection, that'll be truly unique, and that's going to drive greater customer experience for our producing partners. And it's going to provide an opportunity for producers to connect with their customers in times like COVID-19, where they just can't connect because it's not possible.
I can't help but interject my personal feelings into the conversation. I think that's part of what this is about. I think that it's, as both a consumer and a business owner, what you're doing is so meaningful and beneficial. From the consumer side of things, the inability to correct mistakes, to get in touch with the people who are actually making my food, to have to go through a number of barriers, and to find some resolution, or to cancel your order because you just realized it was going to cost you $21 for the thing that normally costs you $12. Whatever it may be, I think what you're facilitating is so important and so needed, both now and, in the long term, because just circling back to what I said in the beginning, it's really all about helping local businesses thrive, because when that happens, the trickle down is huge, right? That's local farmers, that's other local artisans. It's the local economies as a whole that benefit from the success of local businesses, as well as the consumers who have greater access to good food, which is what so many of us want. So it's just the benefits are layered.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk for a second about, because I think when people think about online marketplaces and apps and delivery in particular, they think restaurants. And I know that is it's different with TAKEIN, because you're not only focused on working with restaurants. Can you, Ryan, maybe talk a little bit about the types of food businesses that you work with? And then maybe you or Shaheen talk about what the multiple ways that you work with these businesses.
Yeah, sure. TAKEIN is built for the whole spectrum of local food, not just restaurants. We actually started out with an eye on cottage food operators and these kind of the micro elements of California retail food that didn't have a marketplace and didn't have an app. So whether that be a farmer, a fisherman, a home baker, a pop-up chef, a caterer who's trying to build his own business on the side, we also help those people. In fact, one of our most successful restaurants is a pop-up with a chef that does one item a day or one dish per day, and she kind of has a cult following going because her food is great. And so TAKEIN is the only place that you can get it because it works for her, doesn't cost her a thing, it adds zero overhead to her business. She doesn't need a website, she doesn't need hosting, she doesn't need credit card processing, she doesn't deal with Square. She has just a TAKEIN account and people can get her food. So it's not just for restaurants, which is different. We look for and if we are working with restaurants, we want it to be locally owned. They could be regional, multiple locations in San Diego or Southern California, but not outside of that. Once you get beyond that, it's not local. Part of the inspiration there is that we hope that one day that when you travel to a new city and hopefully one day to a new country, you can just hit a button and just get tapped into the real authentic local food in that area, the people who are on TAKEIN, who are trying to serve their customers differently, give them the most value, compete for the local business that really makes food community what it is.
Shane, do you have anything to add to that?
I would just say a little bit too about delivery, right? And how we work with each of these different businesses in delivery. What we've noticed is that there are varying abilities of companies to deliver themselves or requirements and expectations from consumers that things be delivered. So we have, at the core of our business, we are a marketplace. We're not a delivery company. We provide delivery for those that need it and cannot provide it for themselves. But that's not where we make our money. That's not where we focus our business. We have a great network of driving partners to facilitate the delivery process. But we have many great food producers that have their own delivery services, their own schedules. And we're able to allow them to either market and offer their own delivery services. We're able to help them monetize those delivery services if they choose to make money off of those, if they're not free. And, that's an area where we're very much like Switzerland. We don't care if we deliver, if it's an in-store pickup order, or if our food producing partner provides that delivery. We want to just make it, our key focus is that it's seamless, irrespective of who's delivering to the consumer. So they have the same experience from one producer to the next. And that's really a very key difference between us and all the other big boxes. They're all in the logistics business, not the online marketplace for local food. And that's where we really differ.
Something else that stood out to me about TAKEIN that I want to touch on is I'm going to call it order and delivery window. You can kind of clarify that for me, but something that I was hearing a lot from small food business owners was, I don't have the ability or the financials to have someone, an employee, paid by the hour to sit by a computer and wait for an order to come in. That just shrinks my margins down, to the negatives. So what I loved about TAKEIN was that you can determine when will you accept orders and what your delivery windows are. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit about that and explain it a bit better than I just did for folks.
So every local restaurant, every local food producer has different needs. Some are busy, they're restaurants, they can do the on-demand delivery model that the big food apps have kind of built. Others need pre-orders to help them control labor costs and food costs. Especially now with COVID, it's not easy for all the restaurants to get all the produce or all the ingredients that they need, so pre-orders help them a lot. Other vendors, other businesses are only open certain times a week, or it's variable, or they don't know when they're going to be open. So we've had to build tools in our marketplace and options and settings for all these different businesses. So there's some people who are open 7 days a week and everything's always there. And there's others that, hey, here's my items, but you need to order and request, and I will do it for you, which isn't ideal for most customers, but if they really want that food or they want to support that business, it's an option. So having different tools and different settings that helps different types of businesses get their products to their customers and meet their needs is our overall focus. And that again cuts back towards just creating mutual value.
And there's a focus on local, and when you're talking about local businesses, there's often a focus within their businesses on seasonality, right, and where their products are sourced from. So from what I recall, TAKEIN is also a big part of what you do is offering business owners the ability to change their menus easily, offer specials, like you were just talking about, Ryan, the business owner who does one item a day, and I'm assuming that changes daily. And also farmers whose markets aren't open, particularly in San Diego, that's happening with like the Little Italy market. Farmers can receive orders and make deliveries on days when their markets used to be happening and maybe they're not happening anymore. So the fact that this marketplace is not just for prepared food, but for raw food and raw ingredients, I think is something to note. And both for the consumer to know that they can come to your marketplace and find those products, and also to other business owners and other farmers and fishermen, that maybe have product they want to keep on working, but they're lacking a place to provide it. The TAKEIN marketplace is somewhere that they can do that. And I think that that's wonderful. So we're running a little bit out of time. We've got a couple minutes left. I want to talk about, so you're operating in San Diego right now. For anyone listening in San Diego who wants to, join TAKEIN, can you share how they can do that?
Sure. Go to biz.takein.com and make an account. It's fast. You build products, you build menus, you set business hours, you add photos. We're still working to be as smooth as Facebook, but it's pretty easy, and you'll be up in business in no time. 30 minutes to an hour, and you'll be selling.
Fantastic. for businesses where I'm at in Los Angeles, right? Not too far away from San Diego. Do you guys have plans for expansion? Do you have a waiting list? How can people get in touch with you and let you know that they're interested?
So we don't have a waiting list yet, but we've had a lot of restaurants reach out to us and say, hey, are you in my area yet? And our service does and can work and can extend throughout the whole USA and beyond. At this time, given our resources and our focus here in San Diego, we haven't opened it up there yet. But if there's a restaurant who really wants to use it and wants to use it to serve their customers as opposed to just being part of a larger market, it's a tool that they can use. You know, if they have a list of 150 or even just 5 customers that want their food, they can make a product, send them the link, customer can buy and have it delivered. And that's a great tool. That's e-commerce for food. So that's really what we're trying to bring. And we hope to be in Los Angeles soon, next couple of months. Shaheen, maybe you can comment further.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sarah, it's a great question. We have really focused our marketing efforts in San Diego to get known, to build a brand, to prove our model before we decided to spend money in marketing in Orange County and Los Angeles, which are our next 2 targets. The technology itself is available to anybody anywhere to go log in and begin working. What you're not going to get if you start using TAKEIN in an area where we're not focusing on marketing efforts is you're simply not going to get our provided videos. We are basically spending money on our local producers to do professional videos, and we're promoting them on our Facebook and Instagram channels. And we're giving them a lot of free marketing to boost their businesses. Right now, our efforts are not in Orange County or Los Angeles from a marketing perspective. But if a restaurant or a food producer would like to go to biz.takein.com and load up their food menus and let their customers know that they have a loyal following, it's a free marketing tool for them to use and a free e-commerce tool for them to use. They could begin now. In the next several months, we'll begin to focus marketing efforts and sales efforts in Orange County, and then shortly after in Los Angeles. We want to make sure we get it right for our food partners, our food producers, and we want to make sure that we get enough outreach to the consumer so that there's enough traffic in there to not just help with profits, but help with growth.
That's fantastic. And for those listening, we're going to put that link in the comments under the video. So if you're interested, you can, click right from here and get to the website and get started. I think if I haven't stressed it enough already, I think that TAKEIN is an excellent model. I think that your mission and the way that you're doing this is very needed. And so beneficial for food business owners. And I'm just so excited both to know you guys and to support the business and to spread the word.
It's just a message to customers out there and the public in general. Support your local food businesses. They're taking great personal and financial risks to stay in business, to stay open, to keep their food supply chains open. And, I'm seeing a trend here where people don't want to go to the store. They don't want to risk there's the risk of germs, of COVID. There's a risk of standing in line for hours and then not getting the items that you want. And so they're finding that that this local food around them can get them more than just hot food. There's restaurants selling produce. There's restaurants selling raw steaks and barbecue kits and pizza kits for the kids. And these are things that have helped people have a sense of normality and live life in these kind of weird and crazy times. So support local food because you're not getting that service from McDonald's. Right? You're getting it from local restaurants. Tip them because they don't get paid enough and they're taking big risks to be out there and keep their businesses open and stay local.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.